Okay, there's things in everybody's life that we, through practice, learn how to heal. Without practice, you know, we react the old way. We're trying to always become aware that consciousness creates reality, that every moment in our life is our work. That's what we're doing. We're controlling our thoughts, we're controlling our emotions. Emotions create every disease known to mankind. Frustration, anger, resentment. If we didn't have those emotions, there would be no disease on the planet. What triggers us? What sets us off so that we go into some emotional state that does not feel good? The ego loves those states. You know, if I'm separate from everybody else, I have to have some reason to exist. Maybe I can get a little pity, maybe I can get a little something here that will justify my existence, right? Get a little attention, whatever it might be. But there's absolutely nothing that we can't change our mind about and watch it heal itself. Absolutely nothing. And I'm not excluding world wars or anything. There's absolutely nothing that we can't change our awareness of, how we perceive it, and watch a healing occur. What we give our energy to, what we give our reactiveness to. We look at something, we have a reaction. We're going to become aware that in that moment, I created a future moment. Identical with the one that I just had. Okay? If I have a moment of peace, if I have a moment of comfort, a moment of watching the sun on the mountains, I have created more of those moments. Okay? Now, keep in mind that the truth of co-creation flies in the face of logic. It flies in the face of our self-worth, of all the teachings we were raised with, everything the authority figures ever taught us. Those things are going to come right up, right? Not work hard. There wasn't an authority figure that told you you could survive on this planet if you didn't work hard, right? And working hard will kill you. That's the truth, right? We visualize, we manifest, we create, we are co-creators through the use of our conscious awareness. Okay? So what's the worst situation anybody has in their life right now that they'd like a little different perspective on? Ah, no one has bad situations. Okay, Mary Lou. Marianne.
They made Christmas plans without including me. Mm-hmm. And I'm dealing with that sort of rejection and letting them go. I did get to see them recently, but it's been an interesting awareness of myself and my reaction. Going from, well, do I cut them out of my life? Am I going to teach them? But I think I've gone beyond that. I think that they need to make plans as adults, and I'm just, as the mother of the family, you know, trying to assume and support my role.
How can this be perfect? I mean, if we look at it from the perspective of the five physical senses, and that we are all separate, we're not all one, right? And the way we were taught, you jockey for position in life. You jockey for position as a parent, as a child, as a student, as a teacher, as a whatever, employee, as a boss. Everybody's jockeying for position, trying to get respect, trying to get value and self-worth by being recognized by other people, family members, or whatever. What's wrong with that?
It looks on the surface like it's a terribly sad thing, but it's also, on the other side, it's beautiful because it's an opportunity to grow that satisfaction and that love and that inclusion from wherever she wants it to come from.
Right. If we were just looking at this from a psychological perspective, right, not a spiritual perspective, but just a psychological perspective, we might say you're giving your power away to your children, right? You're allowing your children to make you happy or unhappy.
What I heard you say, and I appreciated you talking about, putting on other people what you want. I mean, I am picking up a lot of what you were saying, but it's still, sure, I can find it within. I've been finding it within for a long time, but I don't think that perspective or that piece of advice is going to make me feel any different when I don't have family, because I grew up in a large family like the Italians.
So, looking at the absoluteness of spiritual concept, you are one with your children, you're one with everybody, you're one with the universe, etc. Looking at belief systems that we have held for thousands, millions of years, which don't serve us well anymore, such as other people can make us happy or unhappy. Okay? Could you see that this is a setup?
I never looked at it that way, but let me examine that point of view. Mm-hmm. A setup from whom or by myself? Well,
we plan our own lives.
That's true.
Before we incarnate, we pick our children, we pick our parents, we pick everybody. Mm-hmm. We pick the situations, we pick the lessons. There is absolutely nothing in our lives that is random, accidental, or happens by chance. Everything we knew about in advance. And we gave our approval to the life before we came in. We probably had guidance counselors, like any school, to say, I'm going to take this course and this course and this course, right? And this is what I want to learn, okay? It's all about self-empowerment. It's all about regaining our awareness that we are connected with the infinite. And when you think somebody has excluded you, you are building a wall. You are saying, I am separate. You are back in. And I'm not picking on you because we're all the same. No. We're back into our poor me space, which is a separate space. Poor me.
Poor me.
Yeah, space, okay? So if we begin to ask for guidance, we can't solve any situation from the perspective of our ego. And if you're feeling hurt, rejection, lack, that's an ego perspective. We can't solve any problem from the perspective of our ego. So first thing we do is say, I have guidance. I have the angelic realm. I have helpers. Everybody has guides, right? I don't know what to do. You do it for me. I like to say I give power of attorney to my guidance to run my life completely. Okay? You'll get insights. Okay? As you willingly release every negative emotion that you have associated with this, and that's hard to do. See, this is practice, right? As you willingly release every negative emotion, healing occurs. Negative emotion is the only thing that keeps unpleasant situations in our life. The only thing that keeps them in our life. If you have no negative reaction, love them for who they are, appreciate them for the contract that you entered into with them before you came into this life, everything you've learned from them, the healing occurs.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, always don't try to do it from ego. Ego says I have to manipulate the situation. Ego says I got to figure out, do I write this note? Do I talk to this person? What do I do? Do I make another cake and give it to them? What do I do, right? That's all ego. We want to solve it from the perspective of spirit. So spirit says everything's okay the way it is. How do I get to that understanding? This is an agreement. Okay. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay, great. Bob and I have a friend who has cancer. She tries every physical thing she can try to heal the cancer. What causes cancer? Carl Simonton was one of the first individuals to really expose cancer for what it was 50 years ago, something like that. What if somebody did something to you that you resented, that you felt was totally unjust 30 years ago, and you never let go of it? What's that going to do to you? Don't we say that eats at us? Consciousness creates reality. See, we don't quite get the direct cause and effect. Okay, yeah, that person was really wrong and they really messed up my life and I'm a victim of them. And I've been thinking that for years. Or as Ram Dass would say, I've been milking that one for 30 years, right? Okay? That's going to outpicture in the body. Simonton did research on cancer individuals and came up with the common factor of hopelessness. A situation can't change. How do I escape? How about dying? That'll get you out of it. Okay? What gives people heart attacks? I mean, we know these things, but we don't pay any attention. What gives people heart attacks? Rage? Anger? Right? Strong energy. Wanting to fight. Need to stand up for ourselves. Right? All the peaceful monks and saints and wise individuals had released all that. Now, if we talk about the path to enlightenment as being forgiveness, that's one way we describe the path to enlightenment. What does forgiveness mean? Doesn't mean I'm going to say, I forgive you, but you were wrong. Right? It means releasing the negative energy within us about the situation. Forgiveness has nothing to do with anybody else. There is nobody else out there. Right? Forgiveness is releasing the internal negative reaction. So forgiving will save your life. How can you forgive something that's unforgivable? You murdered my parents. How can I forgive you? Make up your own story. It's a motion picture, folks. I've seen Clint Eastwood killed at least a dozen times, and he's still walking around. Your parents were murdered, they're still walking around. It's no big deal. Whatever it takes within you to get to the it's no big deal perspective will save your life. Will rid you of your stress-related diseases, and 100% of diseases are stress-related. We are co-creators. Does the universe say, here's the rules for co-creation. You may create anything that's positive, wonderful, and nice, but nothing that's negative. The universe says, you are a creator. What you think is going to manifest. That's the only rule there is. You think something is negative, is in error, start watching the body, check the x-rays, get the blood tests, something's going to go haywire. You think everything is okay the way it is? Watch the body heal. I had a teacher in 5th grade, and I didn't even hear the word metaphysics till I was 30, but I do remember I was in the 6th grade. The 5th grade homeroom teacher had cancer. And our 6th grade teacher told us what was going on. There was going to be a substitute next door in that room while she goes in for surgery, etc. She went in for surgery. The doctors opened her up and said there is absolutely nothing we can do, and closed her back up and gave her 3 weeks to live. In 6 months, she was back in the classroom teaching. And my mother, whom turned out she was much more aware than I ever thought she was as a kid, simply told me, well, she stopped resisting. They told her it was over. She accepted that. She stopped fighting it. And then the healing could occur. I mean, I was in the 6th grade, but boy, that really hit home with me. Don't fight it. Fighting anything means your perception is in error. Right? Cool. So there's answers to everything. We are here to be co-creators. We are here to manifest happiness, health, wonderful, Garden of Eden. You cannot give a gift you do not possess. Don't be satisfied with the gifts you have to give today. You have great gifts to give today. You can say the right thing to the right person and lift their burden. You can use your energy to improve the chi, the flow in their body. You have great gifts you can give today. That is absolutely nothing compared to the gifts you have to give tomorrow. The work is on ourselves. Do not resist evil. That was one of those Jesus statements that, wow. Resist not evil. Jesus, you haven't been here, have you? You haven't looked around. You haven't seen what's wrong with this place. But he could walk on water. He could raise the dead. So maybe I want to pay attention to resist not evil. You have a karmic path. You're unique. Your karma is unique. Okay? You came in with gifts. You came in with challenges. You came in with talents. You came in with shortcomings, meaning you're human. Right? Your karmic path is what puts things in your face every moment of every day. There are no accidents, nothing's random, nothing happens by chance. Whatever shows up that pushes your buttons, grab onto that, embrace that. Woo, this is my opportunity to break the wheel of karma. I have faced that same situation 119,261 times, and every time I got mad. If I don't get mad this time, I don't face that situation again. Watch your energy. Don't resent. Right? These are not euphemisms, euphoric promises, or whatever. These are statements of how it is. If you want to be healed, and if you want to heal the planet, see everything as already healed. Why is it that it takes 10,000 lifetimes for the average being to become a master who can walk on water? Because when presented with spiritual truth and comparing it to what the authority figures taught us, we go with the authority figures. Work hard, fight everything that's wrong. Stress yourself. Go for human rewards, plaques, honors, right? Great obituaries, right? Because he was a hard worker. It killed him, but he was a hard worker. There's another lady that we know that we've been in contact with for many years, and she sent me an email after years of conversations that we've had. And she said, something just dawned on me. I've always worked hard. I just got it. I have to stop working hard if I want everything I want. Consciousness creates reality. Doing does nothing. Doing is an after-the-fact thing. Doing happens because somebody had the thought. The thought is what created. Doing does not do anything. Here's a wonderful facility that has a great purpose in Santa Fe, New Mexico. If we would all sit here and visualize this organization as having already healed the city of Santa Fe, you won't recognize it next week. You won't want to go home. You'll come in here, it'll be so magic. If we're looking for people who have something wrong with them so that we can have a clientele, we're going to have a lot of clientele that has things wrong with them. If we want to see healing take place, nobody who walks through that door has a problem. When they step from outside to inside, the solution has been implemented. Nothing to do. Consciousness creates reality. That doesn't mean we try to violate their belief system. If they believe herbs are going to do the healing, give them herbs. Jesus had to put mud on the guy's eyes before he'd believe he'd be able to see again. Right? We go with their belief system. They believe they need an energy worker because they can't do it. Great. The energy worker's working saying, I'm not doing this. Those guys are doing this. There's 400 of them up here. They're doing it. I'm not doing it. Hey, this is cool. I get paid for doing nothing. Right? Keep focused on consciousness creates reality. Doing does nothing. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing that needs fixing. Healing happens. Jesus said, I'm not doing the healing. It's the Father within that does the works. We're all channels because we're all part of the one. But if we get into being the channel, the block shows up. I'm just hanging out. That's what I'm doing. Those guys are having a ball. Ann's hand, I shouldn't talk about her without asking her. Her hands turn into balls of light. She doesn't do it. She doesn't know how it happens. It's not her deal. It's the natural state of being. We're energy. We're not bodies, we're energy. We're consciousness. We're awareness. All the rest is a movie. A movie. Can you imagine how silly it would be to be watching a movie? There's Clint Eastwood. He just gets shot. And you say, hold on, I got to go heal Clint Eastwood. And you run up to the screen and you start putting medicines all over the screen. And everybody else is saying, sit down, get that guy out of here. It's a movie. I believe that's what the title of this book means. Illusions. Illusions. There was a master come unto the earth, born in the holy land of Indiana, raised in the mystical hills east of Fort Wayne. The master learned of this world in the public schools of Indiana, and as he grew in his trade as a mechanic of automobiles. But the master had learnings from other lands and other schools, from other lives that he had lived. You all know who we're talking about, right? You are the master. Change the birth city. He remembered these lessons, and remembering became wise and strong, so that others saw his strength and came to him for counsel. The master believed that he had power to help himself and all mankind. And as he believed, so it was for him. So that others saw his power and came to him to be healed of their troubles and their many diseases. The master believed that it is well for any man to think upon himself as a son of God. And as he believed, so it was. And the shops and garages where he worked became crowded and jammed with those who sought his learning and his touch, and the streets outside with those who longed only that the shadow of his passing might fall on them and change their lives. It came to pass, because of the crowds, that the several foremen and the shop managers bid the master to leave his tools and go his way, for so tightly was he thronged that neither he nor the other mechanics had room to work upon the automobiles. So it was that he went into the countryside, and people following began to call him Messiah and worker of miracles. And as they believed, so it was. If a storm passed as he spoke, not a raindrop touched a listener's head. The last of the multitude heard his words as clearly as the first, no matter lightning nor thunder in the sky about. And always he spoke to them in parables. And he said unto them, within each of us lies the power of our consent to health and to sickness, to riches and to poverty, to freedom and to slavery. It is we who control these, and not another. A millman spoke and said, easy words for you, master, for you're guided as we are not, and you need not toil as we toil. A man has to work for his living in this world. The master answered and said, once there lived a village of creatures along the bottom of a great crystal river. The current of the river swept silently over them all, young and old, rich and poor, good and evil, the current going its own way, knowing only its own crystal self. Each creature, in its own manner, clung tightly to the twigs and rocks at the river bottom, for clinging was their way of life, and resisting the current what each had learned from birth. But one creature said at last, I'm tired of clinging. And though I cannot see it with my eyes, I trust that the current knows where it is going. I shall let go and let it take me where it will. Clinging, I shall die of boredom. The other creatures laughed and said, you fool, you let go, and that current you worship will throw you tumbled and smashed across the rocks, and you'll die quicker than boredom. But the one heeded them not, and taking a breath did let go, and at once was tumbled and smashed by the current across the rocks. Yet in time, as the creature refused to cling again, the current lifted him free from the bottom, and he was bruised and hurt no more. And the creatures downstream, to whom he was a stranger, cried, see, a miracle, a creature like ourselves, yet he flies. See the Messiah come to save us all. And the one carried in the current said, I am no more Messiah than you. The river delights to lift us free if only we dare let go. Our true work is this voyage, this adventure. But they cried the more, Savior, all the while clinging to the rocks. And when they looked again, he was gone, and they were left alone, making legends of a Savior. And it came to pass, when he saw that the multitude thronged him the more day on day, tighter and closer and fiercer than ever they had, when he saw that they pressed him to heal them without rest and feed them always with his miracles, to learn for them and live their lives for them, he went alone that day into a hilltop apart, and there he prayed. And he said in his heart, Infinite, radiant is, if it be thy will, let this cup pass from me. Let me lay aside this impossible task. I cannot live the life of one other soul, yet 10,000 cry to me for life. I'm sorry I allowed it all to happen. And if it be thy will, let me go back to my engines and my tools, and let me live as other men. A voice spoke to him on the hilltop, a voice neither male nor female, neither loud nor soft, a voice infinitely kind, and the voice said unto him, Not my will, but thine be done. For what is thy will is mine for thee. Go thy way as other men, and be thou happy on the earth. Hearing this, the master was glad and gave thanks and came down from the hilltop, humming a little mechanic's song. And when the throng pressed him with its woes, beseeching him to heal for it and learn for it and feed it nonstop from his understanding and to entertain it with his wonders, he smiled upon the multitude and said pleasantly unto them, I quit. For a moment the multitude was stricken dumb with astonishment. And he said unto them, If a man told God that he wanted most of all to help the suffering world, no matter the price to himself, and God answered and told him what he must do, should the man do as he was told? Of course, Master, cried the many. It should be pleasure for him to suffer the tortures of hell itself, should God ask it, no matter what those tortures, nor how difficult the task. Honor to be hanged, glory to be nailed to a tree and burned, if so be that God has asked, said they. And what would you do, the master said unto the multitude, if God spoke directly to your face and said, I command that you be happy in the world as long as you live? What would you do then? The multitude was silent. Not a voice, not a sound was heard upon the hillsides across the valleys where they stood. And the master said unto the silence, In the path of our happiness shall we find the learning for which we have chosen this lifetime. So it is that I have learned this day, and choose to leave you now to walk your own path as you please. And he went his way through the crowds, and left them and returned to the everyday world of men and machines. Perspective. Use it or lose it. If you turn to this page, you're forgetting that what is going on around you is not reality. Think about that. Remember where you came from, where you're going, and why you created the mess you got yourself into in the first place. You're going to die a horrible death. This is for masters. You're going to die a horrible death, remember. It's all good training, and you'll enjoy it more if you keep the facts in mind. Learning is finding out what you already know. Doing is demonstrating that you know it. Teaching is reminding others that they know just as well as you. You are all learners and doers and teachers. Your only obligation in any lifetime, is to be true to yourself. Being true to anyone else or anything else is not only impossible, but it is the mark of a fake Messiah. The simplest questions are the most profound. Where were you born? Where is your home? Where are you going? What are you doing? Think about these once in a while and watch your answers change. You teach best what you most need to learn. Your friends will know you better in the first minute you meet than your acquaintances will know you in 1,000 years. You are led through your lifetime by the inner learning creature, the playful spiritual being that is your real self. Don't turn away from possible futures before you're certain you don't have anything to learn from them. You're always free to change your mind and choose a different future or a different past. There's no such thing as a problem without a gift for you in its hands. You seek problems because you need their gifts. The bond that links your true family is not one of blood, but of respect and joy in each other's life. Rarely do members of one family grow up under the same roof. Argue for your limitations, and sure enough, they're yours. Imagine the universe beautiful and just and perfect. Then be sure of one thing: the is has imagined it quite a bit better than you have. Shalom.